Hey, welcome to Worldwide Wiggy, and this is our weekly podcast where we are talking today about volcanoes.
Woohoo!
So we're going to continue our discussion. So our last podcast, we talked about Santorini, and we have an update there, and we're also going to talk about Sicily, where there's another volcano that's going off. So let's update you on what's happening with Santorini. So just to let you know, James and I were in Santorini last year on a beautiful vacation on Ozmar cruise line, and we visited Santorini for one day during a 7-day trip, which is why we're reporting on it, because we absolutely love Santorini. But we're also saw the volcano, which was the documentary on Netflix, and yeah, that's what's happening in Santorini right now.
So they've had roughly, according to the British newspapers, 20,000 earthquakes.
20,000 earthquakes
since the beginning of the year, including some over five on the Richter scale. Not exactly what you call a pleasant experience, and the locals are fleeing the island. They say it's the quietest
it's ever been.
They said even during COVID, the islanders were still staying on the island, and in this case, they're fleeing the island. They're going to the mainland because you got to imagine it's just nerve-wracking.
And it's probably shaking like all day long.
And they give all these warnings. They've closed the schools. They give all these warnings about don't stand anywhere close to the edge of a cliff, which, considering that the cities are built on cliffs.
Right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, everything is up in Santorini. It's up on top of the caldera. So there isn't, I mean, when you're getting on the cruise ships and stuff, there's like a small area like on the bottom, which isn't really the beach. The beaches are on the other side of the island, not in the beautiful view area.
Yeah, so you'll have a wonderful view if you fall off the cliff because you decided to get a little too close to the edge for that selfie when the earth started shaking underneath your feet.
Yeah.
They've said, be careful on the trails, all of that, areas of rock slides. It's not exactly what you call a pleasant situation there, I would say.
No, and they've reported one cruise ship already has as an alternative went to Crete instead of docking in Santorini. And I'll just say, when we were there were 3 other cruise ships in the caldera when we were there on the day that we went, and that was during the week. That wasn't even a weekend.
Santorini has been the poster child for over-tourism, the problem of too many tourists and not overwhelming the locals. And they've been debating what to do to reduce the amount of tourism. I don't think earthquakes was on the government plan. And so, and the latest report now that I saw was from one geologist who said that actually these earthquakes might be a good thing because it is reducing the chance of an eruption. But you never know, she said, that the magma still might come up through. You may still have an ash plume. You may still have all sorts of problems as a result, even if the volcano ends up underwater.
And here's the thing too, like on a map, the caldera isn't just one piece of this volcanic string. There's islands, just north of Santorini where there is underground volcanoes there too. And that's where they're thinking that it's coming from, not necessarily the volcano in the center. But regardless, when you've got, up to 5 magnitude, I mean, that's still a lot.
Well, they say that the volcano is only supposed to go off once every 10,000 years. And the last time it went off was in 1600 BC. And at that point, they had basically a mini dark age in the Mediterranean.
Right.
So,
I mean, it was a huge explosion.
But when you say every 10,000 years, maybe they're wrong. Maybe it could be a little bit faster. So it's something for tourists to be concerned about. Definitely, if you're traveling to that region, you may want to consider alternative plans.
Well, we missed the most important part, that they have officially created or identified the exit port.
Yeah.
Should something happen on Santorini, to get those people out of there.
In case
it blows, I don't know.
Or at least the earthquakes get suddenly worse again.
That they got to get them out of there.
But the good news is at least the earthquakes seem to be subsiding a bit, but it's still just a scary situation. And we, like,
well, and here's the thing, like, so when you drive the Santorini caldera, the cities are up high on the caldera, but there are other buildings and stuff on the other side of the island is where your beaches are. So if you've ever been to Santorini, the caldera doesn't really have any beaches, but it has the view. So if you have the ability to drive on the island of Santorini and you see the other side of it, you'll see small, homes built inside the hillside, and it's very, very dry. They don't get a lot of rain, so it's just very dry, and the beaches are on the other side, but all the beaches are like pumice stone. Like everything is volcanic. Pumice stone, not really sand. It's just a really interesting.
And many of the homes in Santorini are actually built into the
mountains, into the hills there. So, and I think that they're reporting cracks and stuff inside of their homes with all the earthquakes happening. So they said that this is the low season, so it's typically quiet this time of year anyway, but with everybody leaving, it's even quieter. So if you are someone who has a trip to Santorini planned, you better check with your agent or on the trip, because I'm sure that something has been changed. And if you're not going through a travel agent or a service or a resort of some kind, and you've done some, you booked your own hotel, you better call and make sure that they're still.
Make sure that they're still either because if the locals are leaving, there's nobody there to man the restaurants right. And the hotels.
Yeah. Again, this is a low time. But I mean, it's just I understand that this is a low time, but dang, I mean, it's still warm there. So, it was -11 here in Wisconsin on Tuesday. So I would have loved to have been in Santorini minus the earthquakes at this time of year.
Minus the earthquakes.
Right. Notice I said that. Minus the earthquakes. I was in an earthquake when I went to Alaska in 2021.
Yeah, you were.
I was. While there were
complete with a tsunami warning.
Complete with a tsunami warning. It was crazy. And you were here and there were tornado warnings going on. So 2021, I went out to Alaska and it was crazy. It was the first time I'd ever really been in an earthquake before. And it feels like if you're not used to it, it feels like you have like vertigo, like you're unsteady on your feet and you're kind of like, whoa, you have like swim head. And then when I ran outside, because my cousins were screaming it was an earthquake, they live in California, so they're used to this, right? And then I went outside and the pine tree in front of the house we were renting was shaking. I knew then. And then there was a tsunami warning that happened right after. And what was really funny is that we were at an Airbnb and we packed all of our stuff and went into the car to drive to high ground because we were right on the peninsula. We were staying in Kenai, Alaska. We were right on the peninsula. So right on the ocean. So I was like, well, I'm not going to get, so we took the car and it was like 2:00 in the morning. We went to high ground and just kind of waited it out until it was like all clear, but nobody else in the neighborhood, they thought we were nuts. Nobody else in the neighborhood even worried about it. They were all like, you're crazy. Sorry, we have dogs here. So they're the ones that are making all the.
Yeah. It's not a Santorini earthquake.
No, it's not. It's a Maggie earthquake. She's just being annoying. Okay.
So then the other thing that we saw, speaking of volcanoes, Mount Etna in Sicily is.
Yeah, let's talk about Mount Etna in Sicily.
And dumb tourists.
Yeah, exactly. So Mount Etna is in Sicily and it is erupting actively and has been for a while. And the tourists are coming from all over to see
the lava
flow. And I mean, really.
Because apparently there are no buffalo to go pose next to for a selfie, so you got to go pose next to a lava flow instead.
So they're in Sicily, and I mean the description. I mean, you've got literally the lava's coming out, and it's on the beach or whatever, and it's going into the water, and you can imagine when you're looking at hot magma coming out of the earth and going into the water. We're talking super hot. I mean, I don't even. It's sizzling. It's so hot when it comes out of the earth and then it goes into the ocean, right?
So what the authorities are concerned about is all these tourists are going up there and they're telling tourists to stay away, and they're going up to the mountain, and as the lava is hitting the snow, it's causing little mini explosions that throw rocks hundreds of yards.
Feet. Yeah, crazy.
So, what are you doing up there? You're making yourself a target for getting hit in the face with a rock.
I get it. It's probably really cool to see. We have a picture here in our house of the volcano on Hawaii. And the guy did an amazing job catching that. I didn't catch the photo. Let me just make sure that you understand that. But it's just, we have it on metal. It's beautiful. The blue water, the lava's hitting the ocean. It's the smoke, okay, the orange. Uh-huh. It's phenomenal to see, okay?
Colors.
The picture is amazing. Amazing. And when it's displayed on this the blue wall here that we painted our wall, and it looks incredible when it's on the wall. Just absolutely incredible. But we weren't there to do it ourselves. We had an artist. It was an artist photo. We didn't do it.
And judging by his description, he took some risks in doing it.
Yeah, absolutely took some risks in trying to get the perfect shot. There's no reason for the tourists to be up there checking that out. I mean, it's dangerous.
Go to the art gallery instead and buy the photo.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. So, I mean, I'm just going to tell you, if you really have no idea and have not seen The Volcano on Netflix, and we're not, there's no props here or no, we're not getting sponsored or anything. But if you have not seen that documentary, you're going to want to see it, because this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about with Santorini and Mount Etna in Sicily. Is, these people went out, what was it, 2021, 2019? Yeah. 2021, they went out to this mountain in New Zealand on a trip. They were on a cruise. They booked it as an itinerary, as a tour, and it took them out to the volcano. Okay, they get off the volcano, or they get off the boat, and the guides give them a gas mask. Hint number one. And then they, the guides noticed that there must have been an eruption overnight, because the lake and everything was like white. And, and then they give you candy. Remember that? The candy, because of the taste, and they give you the candy because it's so dry. You're going to get that like sulfur in your throat. So they give you candy to suck on. And then the warning, like, on a scale of 1 to 3, this volcanic island was a 2. And it erupts every 3 years. And hey, guess what? It was the 3rd year, and there hadn't been an eruption.
But you got to go, right?
Yeah, they all went, because they're all, and here's the thing. And
they all signed
disclaimers. And what ended up happening, 21 or 22 people were dead, because it erupted while they were on the island.
And the survivors, or some of the survivors later, when they were interviewed, said that somebody should have warned them, that they made it seem like it was safe. It's like, what were you thinking?
What
volcano?
And here's the thing. James and I go on a lot of tours, okay? So we're saying this as a couple that does a lot of tours through Viator, Get Your Guide. We do a lot of those tours. There ain't no way that you could have paid me to go on that tour. No way. No way. I have to sign a disclaimer that says that they're not responsible if an eruption happens. The videos from their phones of the eruption, and the one couple was completely burned. I mean, and they survived. I don't even know how. But 22 people died. One guy, his whole family, his sister and his mother and father all died. They were right by that sulfur lake on that island. There ain't no way. No way.
That'd be a good sign not to go to an island if it has a sulfur lake.
Right. The gas mask was a big aha. I'd have never left the boat. Well, I wouldn't even be going on the boat. But I'm just saying, if I made the mistake of going on the boat, the gas mask, I'd have been, hell no.
And then there was the group that went by helicopter, too. The helicopter didn't make it. They ended up having to evacuate on the ship themselves.
The helicopter didn't make it.
Yeah.
The guy in the helicopter, the guy who flew the helicopter, when the thing went off, he ran to the water and dove in, and he lived. He dove into the water and was submerged underwater during the eruption. Unbelievable.
So those of you that are these thrill seekers that are just hoping for the good photo.
This goes back to you and me talking about research. Do your research.
Know ahead of time what you're getting yourself into.
You know, if that's your thing, great. I suppose, you know, if you die and you're all into that kind of thing and that's your MO, great, good for you. But, you know, do your research, ask questions. Yeah, we just wanted to give you guys an update on Santorini, really, because the situation there, and just to kind of finish it up, you know, with Santorini, originally they thought like the first week of March this would all be done, but the truth is they don't even know. Now they're saying it could be months.
Right.
Could be months.
You know, we joke about it, but I mean, seriously, what you're going on vacation to enjoy yourself, to get away. Why are you placing yourself in unnecessary risk?
Agreed.
Agree. And I would just say this about Santorini: even if it's not a volcano, do you really want to be there when there's a big earthquake?
No. Santorini is so beautiful. I mean, it is so beautiful. I have some amazing photos from Santorini. That's what you want to go there, is to enjoy. It's got one of the best sunsets ever. You know, and the view on the caldera is just amazing. I mean, I'm serious when I say I'm standing up at the very top of Fiera right after our lunch, and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm even here. It's so beautiful. You've got the view of everything and the caldera and the blue water. I mean, we had a phenomenal blue sky day. It was amazing.
After a foggy morning.
After a foggy dragon fog morning.
Dragon fog
morning.
From the heat of the volcano, heating the water.
Was warmer than the water around it.
But, I mean, yeah, it is beautiful. But there are other beautiful places, too.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what you want to go to Santorini for.
Right.
So, like, you know, if there's this hint of danger, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. That's just our opinion, but... You know, we're avid travelers. Don't do that to yourself. You know, don't do that to yourself. Okay, that's what we got. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, get traveling. It's only February. There's still lots of time to get yourself.
Make your plans for this summer and this fall.
You bet. All right, have a great day, everyone.